Welcome everybody to midweek meditation. My name is Wendie Lash, and I'm coming to you from Redwood City, which is the historical land of the Lamchin tribelet of the Ramaytush people of the Costanoan Ohlone tribe. And we're gonna do how do I want to say this? An advanced meditation today. So we're going to do an Ayin meditation, which I actually don't do that often. So if you find it challenging, that's okay. And I'll talk a little bit more about it. Ayin, the Hebrew word ayin means nothing or no-thing-ness. And so when people first think about meditation, they think, oh, I have to empty my mind. I have to, and most people practice some kind of mindfulness meditation, which actually is not emptying your mind, but noticing your thoughts and coming back to the breath and noticing your thoughts and coming back to the breath or something like that. Ayin meditation, which I learned in Jewish meditation in my teacher training, is as I said, more advanced meditation where you actually really are trying to empty the mind of all the thoughts. And it's very challenging. Not only, as we sit in meditation, not only do we notice that we are constantly having thoughts, but we notice that we're constantly having multiple thoughts. We've got this stream, we've got that stream, and when we quiet this stream, that stream. And so the idea behind mindfulness meditation is to just notice that we are constantly having thoughts. And what are those thoughts? And are those thoughts somehow tripping us up because we don't even realize that they're happening underneath, that we're either being critical or self-critical or attached to, thinking that we know what's going to happen in the future, or attached to something that happens in the past. So that those are all wonderful, helpful things that mindfulness meditation does. And the metta meditation, the loving kindness meditation that we've done for a few weeks here, helps us to do that, as well as to cultivate compassion and kindness for ourselves and for others, and to be more present. So this is another flavor of meditation, and some people like it and some people don't. So if you find it challenging, go back to whatever it is that feels comfortable to you, or notice the challenge and see if you can just stick with it, and see if it's, you might have a moment of it working for you. So I just want to say a little bit about Ayin, emptiness meditation. And Judaism says a lot about spaciousness. In fact, I think it's probably one of our central cores is that we honor spaciousness, we honor fallow time, we honor rest. To me, that's one of the beautiful things about Jewish spirituality, is that we have practices that tell us it's not always about doing. In fact, God rests after working and creating all of creation. God takes a day off, the Sabbath. And so we are instructed to do that as well. But there are other ways that Judaism honors spaciousness. And I just wanted to share a little bit about those here. So we have Shabbat. We also have the Mishkan, which was the traveling tabernacle that the children of Israel, the Israelites, carried around in the desert in the Torah. And it was mostly space. So there were broken bits of the tablet in it and lots of space. And then when we would set up, when the people would set up the space that they were going to stay in for a while, in the center of it was the altar, which was just space, a tent, and around it were other areas of spaciousness that people would go into, or the priests would go into, and then all the tribes would be set up. But the holiest of holies was a place where there was space for God to come and be with the people, space for the high priests to go in and try to communicate or feel God's presence. So another place where we honored space. It wasn't cluttered. It wasn't filled with things. And we have coming up, not this coming year. So this Rosh Hashanah starts a new year, but the year after that is a Shemitah year. And so every 7 years, our tradition tells us, both in the Torah and the Mishnah works that are, afterwards trying to tell us how to live as a people. The sense that the land needs space, to be fallow, and that we also need space, and the sense of the Shemitah year being a time that we don't work the land, that we can release people from debts that they owe, and that we can release people that are indentured, that are slaves. So all this sense of resetting and starting from the beginning, these are beautiful ways that Judaism honors space. And the last one that I want to share is from the Kabbalistic creation myth. The Kabbalist talked about, or in the Kabbalah, it talks about God was everything. And the term for God that was everything is Ein Sof, without end. So Ayin meditation, Ayin, Ain, they come from the same root, the sense of God that was no-thing-ness, because God was everything. So I like to think about kind of the infinity of space. It seems very empty, and yet it's filled with things like radiation and light waves and particles and things that later become planets and solar systems. And so that what seems like emptiness in space is actually filled with God's presence. And so the way that all of creation that we know of was created in the Kabbalah creation mythology was that God had to contract God's self. So if God filled up everything, the sense was that God actually contracted and created space right in the center of whatever God is. And only in that space could all of creation arise. And I think it's such a beautiful honoring of the sacredness of space. People that are, tap into their creative instincts talk about needing to create the space and letting that sacred energy, for some people that feels, and it is the sense of the divine moving through them, or tapping into something that's bigger and deeper only in that place of space. So meditation can give us that tabula rasa, the cleaning off, the letting go of the thoughts, so that we can see what arises in that space. And when the Kabbalists would do an Ayin meditation, it was to ultimately connect with the divine, with the God of that spaciousness, that Ein Sof God. So that's what we're going to try and do today. A little Tzimtzum in our head. Tzimtzum is contraction. So we're going to do this, trying to contract our mind to see if we can let it be spacious, even for a moment, and what that does for us and how sacred that can be. And as I said, this is a more advanced practice. So you may find that it's not for you, and go back to whatever it is that feels right to you. Or if you can stick with it, just know that there are moments. We're looking for those moments where we find, and actually we know that we've found a moment of no thought. Actually, when we start thinking like, oh, I'm thinking again, there was like a microsecond there where I let myself not have any thoughts. At least that has been my experiences. I don't sit for a minute or even 30 seconds usually in no thought. It's a moment to recognize what it does to the body and to the nervous system, and how it re-energizes us and lets us tap into something deeper, that unitive oneness, if we give ourselves that space. So we're going to try and do that today together. And what I'm going to do is kind of step us through a process. We'll, pay attention to the body, pay attention to the breath, pay attention to our thoughts, and then we'll try to drop into letting go of the thoughts. And because we want to be without thoughts, the chant that I'm going to lead us into meditation with today is a niggun that has no words. So that's what we're going to do for the next half hour or so, a little less. But don't be worried. Maybe you're not worried. I'm just trying to set you up to whatever happens, happens, and we'll have a chance to talk about it for those of us that are in the Zoom. So you can get yourself in a comfortable place, and I will also then bring us out of the meditation with the singing bowl. And I should say before I start, make sure that phones and pings from your computer, the best that you turn them off, because it can be very jarring, especially in this meditation, if you're really trying to let go and then all of a sudden somebody calls you, or you have a Facebook message or something. I don't know what people have that interrupt them. So So start by noticing your body, noticing your sit bones in the chair or on the cushion, noticing your low back, breathing in and breathing out, noticing your spine from the base, from your tailbone all the way coming up through the back and the neck, up to the skull. And noticing the face relaxing the face, relaxing the eyes and the eyelids, relaxing the tongue and the mouth, relaxing the neck, maybe tipping the chin down a little bit to elongate the neck. That feels comfortable. Maybe breathing in, lifting your shoulders towards the ears, bringing them back, and then sliding the shoulder blades back down the back of the body. Noticing maybe moving a little forward and back, and then finding the place where the spinal column seems to naturally rest on the pelvic girdle. Letting the body relax with ease, not sitting in a forced way, but being attentive to the body and sitting in a way that feels like it allows breathing, but is relaxed and soft without any kind of pain. And we'll move the attention to the breath. As you breathe in, noticing the lungs filling side to side, back to front, up and down. And as you exhale, letting go and noticing the release of the breath. Inhaling, deepening the breath a little bit more, and exhaling and releasing. And letting your breath rhythm return, whatever is natural and comfortable for you. And at any moment in the meditation where you feel you're filled with thoughts or you just want to reset, you can simply return to the breath, taking a few breaths in and out, reconnecting with the body, with the breath. And as we try to deepen a little bit more with an Ayin meditation, our objective is to let go of thoughts. So first we start by noticing the thoughts. Just noticing what is the internal monologue you are having with yourself. Noticing thoughts that are in the present moment, maybe about your body or feelings that are arising. Noticing any stream of your consciousness, which is thinking about something that has happened in the past. You're bringing it into this present moment. And noticing any thoughts you have or may have about the future, thinking about what's going to happen next, or anything that you're holding that you're worrying about, or someone that you're concerned about their choices or what's going on with them. We notice how much is occurring in our minds that we hold, that we mind in some way. And our intention in this Ayin meditation is to give ourselves pause and rest from that, and to connect to that deeper beingness of no thought, of no-thing-ness, to give ourselves, even if it's only a brief moment, of letting the mind rest. So in this part of the meditation, as you notice a thought arising from any one of those streams or a combination, there are different ways to try and let it go. One way is to think about it manifesting as a cloud and letting it drift off. Another way is to think about letting the mind settle and pull away from the thought, like the mind being a pebble that is falling into still water, descending deeper and deeper, leaving the thought behind. Another way may be to just invite the mind into quiet stillness. And you may find a different path for yourself. So trying one of these ways as you notice the thought, letting it go, opening up into the spaciousness, and seeing if you can connect with that beingness in the no-thingness, connecting with Ein Sof, the ground, the spacious ground that underpins all of everything. So coming back into the body, into the community, taking a nice big breath in and letting it go, and moving your body in any way that you feel called to. I want to read you a beautiful poem that I came across a couple of years ago that I think speaks to this. It's not Jewish. The author is Judy Sorum Brown, and it's called Fire. What makes a fire burn is the space between the logs, a breathing space. Too much of a good thing, too many logs packed in too tight can douse the flames, almost as surely as a pail of water would. So building fires requires attention to the spaces in between as much as to the wood. When we are able to build open spaces in the same way we have learned to pile on the logs, then we can come to see how it is fuel and the absence of fuel together that makes the fire possible. We only need to lay a log lightly from time to time. A fire grows simply because the space is there, with openings in which the flame that knows just how it wants to burn can find its way. I love that poem. So as we end our time with people who are on the recording or live streaming, I invite them and all of you in the Zoom, if you can stick around for the next 15 minutes, to maybe reflect on what space you need to have your fire burn more brightly, better, and where in your life might you need some more space. And the last thing I want to do before we close, we are heading into tomorrow evening is the beginning of a new Hebrew month, the last month before Rosh Hashanah, one of the New Year's in Judaism, and Jewish Live, which supports this meditation, the platform that this meditation is happening through, started 2 years ago. I started a project with them where we create experiences for Elul by sending daily emails with content, and we have mini podcasts, and we have Zoom gatherings, and lots of information, spiritual practices this year. We're offering a few social justice opportunities, organizations to look at what they're doing. And so if you don't know about that and you're interested, you can go to judaismunbound.org, or sorry, I think it's .com. I should have looked that up. But if you go to Judaism Unbound, it's actually right there on the homepage. You don't even have to go down into the Elul, and you can sign up to be on those emails, and you'll hear podcasts with me in them, and Lex, and a few other people, Dan, and a colleague, Esty, and lots of content that we've curated, and maybe come to the Zoom gathering. So if you have any questions about that, or about this meditation, or about meditation in general, you can reach me through my website, and I'm happy to respond. Oh, and we are offering free spiritual direction sessions. Some of my colleagues and I are offering free spiritual direction. So if you've never tried that practice and you want to, you can get that. You can also sign up for that through the Judaism Unbound, Elul Unbound website. So I want to thank you all for your presence and your practice. And the way that we close is honoring the divine in each one of us. The Hebrew phrase, B'Tselem Yah, the divine in me sees the divine in you. And so for those that are leaving us now, B'Tselem Yah.